Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM. And today I'm joined by the amazing Scott Robinson. Michael J. Russ is on holiday, and it's such an honor to have Scott. We were delving in last week on the pineal gland and illuminating light within us and how do we create that light. And we wanted to sort of continue along those lines, but sort of take an unexpected twist and just to explain to the audience a little bit about how we met and how different souls sometimes are drawn together on this journey of life and how amazing things unfold when we just trust how things are meant to be. So first, I just would like to welcome you, Scott. I'm so grateful that you're able to join me. It's always amazing to connect with you, so welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here today talking about, we go back a long way in some of our first meetings, way 20-plus years ago. And so I feel like it's just as pertinent now as it was then.
I know. So I met Scott Robinson in a magical place called Ojai, California, and we were at a very unique and amazing retreat. And as divine intervention would have it, I got to sit next to Scott, and I didn't know too many people there. I knew a few, but they were a little bit busy, and I was sort of left into some of the exercises and things like that, and I got to be partnered up with you, which was an amazing experience. I think that when I met you, there was sort of a soul recognition. I just felt immediately connected to you on a very deep heart level, like I knew you for 1,000 years. And it was just that warm feeling, and you've never left my heart since we reconnected. I just want you to know that. It's just really quite an amazing thing. So, during the course of the 20 years that Scott and I have known each other, we've delved into sort of different paths, which is what a lot of us will do. But I think that one of the things that we are right now on this planet all sort of coming together. And one of my teachers used to say that we're getting better and better remembering the things that we forgot. And as souls, what it is that we choose to come in and to learn. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, Scott. Like, how is it that as souls on this planet that we choose to incarnate in the lessons we learn and the people that we connect with, if they're truly part of our soul family, our tribe, whatever you want to call it. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, each person has a soul group, belongs primarily to a soul group, rays 1 through 7. And so there's a lot right now coming through on the planet itself is 7th ray. So Ryan will meet a lot of people that are 7th ray and all the rays really, but a lot of 7th ray people, and that's bringing heaven down to earth. In other words, spirituality through matter. And the first thing that we do is a birthing process, which is happy place on the planet, which we've all chosen, you and me and others have chose to visit, to manifest at this time for very important things toward the planet, which is basically the birthing of the new age coming energy upon humanity. And as that becomes stronger and stronger, each day goes by, year goes by, fully into the 7th ray energy. And the amount that's going to take, the thing that's going to take is going to be, some of the things can't even really be visualized right now during this energy as it permeates through humanity the next 2,500 years. So I'm excited about that,
Absolutely.
And so we're trying to, be part of that movement of group consciousness instead of individual consciousness, which was perfect 2,500 years ago for people to do that. Now we're more moving towards group consciousness. And when that happens, the power of the mentality among humanity generally, it just goes through the roof. And we learn faster and faster and faster now than we've ever had before. So it's exciting, but it's also caused a lot of crisis in the humanity and people and on the planet as a whole, as these energies settle down to their perfect place, their more harmonic part.
That's fascinating. So when you talk about the group energy and what it is it sort of like the 100th monkey effect, where they had, I think it goes way back to a Dr. Watson, who observed these macaque monkeys over a course of a certain amount of time, and that when one monkey would learn a skill and that knowledge would be transferred, by the time that the 100th monkey would learn it, it would be transferred globally. It was all of a sudden all the monkeys knew how to do that, sort of like a paradigm shift. Is that sort of what you're seeing when you talk about the group consciousness?
I think so, yes. A lot of what we're recognizing there's really two main things. There's energy and there's forces. Energy is much more powerful but much subtle, and it goes in and out and around us. But a true force, anchored onto the manifested plane, and it seems stronger. And as that energy filters through the world, if you will, the points of force are set up, and so people, the so-called 107th effect will happen. People are anchored into this anger, this not anger, angered more into this energy that causes us to get focused in what we're doing. And so at the time the 700th monkey came by, everybody has that knowledge, and it spreads from land to land. Right.
So for those individuals, like, I know that letting go of old patterns and it's never easy when we try to do something new, but it's always possible. I mean, for those of us that have maybe held grudges, or there may have been some injustice or hurt that we've been holding on to, maybe some trauma, it's really, from everything that I'm reading, that it's really important right now, especially to heal that, not only just to forgive others, but also to forgive yourself. I'd love to hear your thoughts about perhaps how, if we are making this shift, then how do people sort of ready themselves? How do they prepare sort of at an energetic level to allow this newer consciousness to come in? I know that's kind of a big question, but I'd love to hear what you're seeing.
Yeah, that's a major question, because a lot of time with that, there's still many people that are on the earth plane now that are primarily of some of the older energies. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. We've gone through that. And so, but there's a crisis between that population, if you will, and the rest of the world. And the only thing that I can see, really, because that's all I do is meditate. I really don't know anything else other to do it than to do different types of meditation, color meditations, visualization and mantras as well. And as you do, you're anchoring yourself, your own energy, your heart energy, if you will, straight to the earth, with the new forces coming in on the seventh ray.
Right. Right. Yeah, I it was I don't know however many episodes Michael and we talked about Maharishi Yogi, who was the founder of Transcendental Meditation, and how he came to the United States and basically traveled to 24 different cities, and he basically focused on populations that were greater than 10,000. And he said that wherever there was like violence and break-ins, that when people gathered together to practice Transcendental Meditation, that the violence would decrease in those areas. And so as they started seeing that just that 1% of the population, it really started to change. And it was, one city became multiple. And then, later on they sort of took that into other countries where there were war-torn and conflict, and they would try to elicit that change. And although people still do practice Transcendental Meditation, now it's sort of been taken one step further with the Global Coherence Project. The Heart Math Institute have basically looked at the science of when we drop into the heart, into the field of heart. So when you think about something that you love, something that makes you happy, something that brings you joy, you start to see a real coherent sine wave in the rhythm of the heart. When we are in the opposite of that, it's a very dissonant energy. But when we gather together and focus in that coherent state of the heart and focus on something like peace or shifting a hurricane out to sea or whatever, they actually have devices around the planet that can measure physical changes in the Schumann resonance of the earth. So it's a very, very powerful thing. And meditation is, I think, a wonderful way to sort of embark on trying to keep your field and your energy at an elevated level. I'm curious, is there a mantra that you like to use when you meditate, or do you encourage people to sort of find their own?
Well, for me, I mostly use visualization as my method of meditating, except during the 5 months every month during the full moon, and then I have a mantras drawn out for the next 4 or 5 days rather. That's to do with the energies of the moon and the new energies now being available when the moon is full. In other words, there's nothing blocking our path to our planet. But there's so many different things, and so that makes for a very strong energies are now available for a short window of time. It has nothing to do with the power of the moon per se. It's simply the moon symbolically is out of the way. And so the reflection of the full moon is the energies come from the earth reflected back towards us. But so I do mantras then. However, I'm primarily Israel that visualize, and you can see that more and more people are. I don't know if you may say the word peaceful, but there's a lot of trouble in the world, of course, obviously. But a lot of it's, in my opinion, I may be wrong, but a lot of it means politically driven. World government, all over the world, have got problems everywhere. And people are just getting tired of it. Every country, everybody's getting tired of it. And they're realizing that that's not the way to go, and that they're being manipulated and lied to in order to stir up these conflicting energies for, other reasons than just being peaceful and loving, Do you see that, or do you feel like that?
Oh, I absolutely. I mean, some people are calling it sort of a great awakening, and I don't really care what you call it. I think that when you move from an egocentric to more I guess it's a greater consciousness of connecting through love, which is really why we do the show. And it's about opening the heart and really trying to create a global community, I think, of oneness. And that word sometimes is maybe misunderstood. I believe in my heart that we all share, a common goal. We all want to be happy. And if you ask somebody, what was the most poignant part of their life and what was most important or fulfilling, and I think most people will say love, that it was the love in their lifetime that really connected them and made a difference and really meant the most. It was their relationships. And that's what I really cherish about you, Scott. It doesn't matter if it's a month or a few weeks or even, God forbid, longer than 6 months that we don't have an opportunity to speak, but we pick right back up because there's such a strong heart connection. And I don't think there's nothing that can ever take that away. It doesn't matter. I could lose everything and be on the street corner, and I could know that somewhere in the world you are, and I can touch into your heart. And I feel that. And I think that's what we want for the community of this world, too, as well. And I think, as you said, things are accelerating. I know that we are coming up to the solstice and also what they call a supermoon on the 23rd. And those, I sort of always use those times as like an energetic gateway. And I'd love for you to speak, if you don't mind, about how people in the past have used solstices and really what that time of transition is, and how we can use it to really create and bring in that new consciousness as we start the new year.
Well, okay. The healing in the planet has been primarily, up until this time, primarily solar plexus driven. And it's going slowly, higher and higher chakra-wise. Now, we've gone into the heart part of humanity more fully than ever before. And you can see that there's problems with people that are trying to channel new heavy energies that they're not used to it. It actually leads to disease at first, until that, again, before that harmonizes and everything. But for me, the next step for human healing are heart energies channeled through the chakras, and taking those chakras at different configurations depending on the disease to be looked at or worked on. And the first, what you have to do first is get your own chakra properly absorbed and in the right alignment with the person who is ill. And you bring those two chakras together through heart-centered healing, and that brings the healing of their chakra and brings the cause of disease. What's going on right now is basically not so much healing as it is preparing people to be, to get healed first, or get ready to be at a part of their life where they can have the higher energies without actually getting sick, And so a lot of what's going on now is working on the chakras per se.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes along with me, LifeStream Healing, and using the chakras, again, not necessarily in alignment, but in a peculiar manner that's required to the person that is being healed.
Right. And, I'd love for you, that, for our audience members that maybe are not familiar with the energy centers or the chakras as they're traditionally known in Ayurvedic medicine, Well, just a little bit about, like, if you could take us sort of on a journey for our audience members that may not know. And then also, I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you came to develop, how the information came into you that there was a healing path through these centers, which inevitably became LifeStream Healing. I'm so fascinated by it, and I know our audience would love to hear it.
Well, thank you. You know, there's different types of chakras in the body, not including just the 7 main ones. Of course, there's hundreds or literally thousands of human body, but there's 7 main ones, let's just say, and those can also exist in different parts of the body too. The etheric body, the astral body, all the way up into your head, to where you actually have seven centers in the head in your head center itself. That's all tried with the pineal gland. But so you can see different things. When I'm working with someone, when at first I would just take a general idea. I'm a medical intuitive too, so it helps me, but I don't have to have that. Just when I'm talking to the people or a person or both, and finding out what seems their issue may be. And then when I meditate and begin to moving into using LifeStream Healing, soul energy filtered down through the pineal gland, through the body, the 7 chakras in the head chakras onto the main body. And when I find someone that, if I have a person that has a problem with a gallbladder, then I'm going to find the nearest main chakra around that organ and begin working on that part of the person. Mm-hmm. And aligning my own personal chakra in the same area where I think I see exists for them. And those two together, lined through face, well, you could even call it face or heart-based energy, reduces the chakras problem on the ill person, and the healing can be affected or released. Because people forget that sometimes when your body dies, of course, on this lifetime, and that's a major healing right there. You can say the ultimate healing on this lifetime. But that doesn't mean you have to die physically for that to happen. It does happen. But that's not the first is to try and to prepare yourself to align your chakras and to use them to, I guess you'd call it clean out your system, if you will, get rid of negativity, all these things together to go hand in hand before the healing process really begins to take place. On myself and on the patient.
That's really amazing. When I remember years, this is way actually even before I met you, and I had somebody say to me that my throat chakra was blocked, and that was all about speaking my will and speaking my truth. And I think I reflect back on that however many years ago, and it was difficult. I would agree to say yes to things that I really didn't mean to say yes to, and I'd overcommit myself or whatever because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to create boundaries, and that was one of the things that was associated with a blocked throat chakra. So for you, when you're working with individuals and they have an illness or an imbalance, that's sort of what you're looking at. What is blocking that particular energy center to those and the communication? Because, and I would love to hear your thoughts but from what I was taught, that each one of the chakras communicate with the other, going from the lower, all the way through the heart up to the head, and and that when we do have one of these centers that are blocked, how is it that we can reactivate them, unblock them, to really be at our best, I guess, sort of like a supercomputer, right? If part of your disk is not operating properly, you know that the information's there, but the computer just can't seem to find it, right? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I think so too, because taking the throat chakra, very common problem being blocked through a large part of the population. And, at first, when I read someone that way, it's so easy to see that there's generally two different things going on. One, there's an actual blockage in the throat itself. And again, that all ties, in my opinion, with, as you had said earlier, not being able to speak your truth, right? And to not be able to be completely open with your throat chakra. And that's a major thing. I mean, it can be fixed. And for me, it's easy to block it. But there's another side of this to someone who's, if their throat chakra is even further damaged, if you will, then they'll have a physical thyroid problem. And it'll manifest, a disease will actually manifest through the thyroid or parathyroid. And that's also another problem altogether. But to me, when I'm working with someone that shows, I generally just block that one. I'm not exactly sure. When I do steam healing, I just put light and focus it through my third eye and use my whole energy onto the throat, and it tends to clear that up. And
wow.
But if it's an actual thyroid problem, got to do the same problem, the doctors will throw medicine at it, I guess, if you will. And there are times when it's indicated, but for the most part, people are to the point where beginning to think more and more, speaking of their truth, as the truth is being out there. But there's so many deceptive out there that there's the whole large part of the percentage humanity just simply doesn't want to believe anything. I just hate to say it, but they're just not, because they're being told untruths, right?
Right.
They're not being. Not only can they speak or having trouble their own speaking, but they're having trouble hearing it from others as well.
That's fascinating. So, it's interesting you say that, because I saw a very poignant video of this young man that he made, and he had an orange, and it had a label on it that said orange, and it had the number, and you bring it up at the cash register, and he said, "This is an orange." And he said, "It says that it's an orange, but for the last 3 years we've been told it's a grape." And there's many of us who, even though we kept saying it's an orange, we said, no, it's a grape, it's a grape. And he said, but the writing's on it, and how much that dissonance does affect us. You hear something over and over again, and I don't know whether it's true. They said sometimes that when you see something 7 times, the brain will believe it, whether it's true or not. And so that's why a lot of the pharmaceutical commercials are replayed the same thing over and over. And next thing, somebody's going into their doctor saying, well, yeah, I got that symptom, and I need that drug. So I don't know whether that's true or not, but I found it to be, quite fascinating. And but I'd also like to ask you then, so with the throat, if you do an affirmation, like a positive affirmation, does that help, sort of like a mantra, to help unblock that?
Yes, I think it does. I mean, okay. I think you actually need physical manipulation on the chakras, but the intentional driving of your own personal energies towards this thing can be helpful. You can do the other thing too, just the same thing of a person who constantly has complete anxiety about their conditions 100% of the time. That's also going to cause them problems, right?
Right.
Ultimately, both ways will have to be fixed energetically, and that's the new way of healing now. The color, chakras, and sound. And sound, as you know, is exactly just the same thing as color. They are the same. They represent the same absolutely thing. We call them color, or we call them music scales. They're both colors. And so the next step really in healing is sound healing and color healing.
Wow.
By you have to, I feel like you have to get deeper into the knowledge of your chakras and the other person to get an intuitive grasp of what may be the proper sequencing of their chakras to channel the energy up to the head and to source and back down.
Right.
And it's not necessarily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or anything like that. It's changed. It could be 2 different parts of your body, lower chakras, higher. That's the trick right there. But if you're unsure of it, then just go to the nearest large, which you believe is the largest chakra, which is also a gland. The physical part of the chakra is a physical gland, and to use that as the starting point for your healing work.
Yeah. No, that I truly believe that. And as you were speaking, I kept thinking about, I'm starting to see a lot of red lights being sold for healing of the skin and the tissues, as well as orange. And I know that orange is, from what I've always been taught, helps the prostate, the lower energy centers. I don't know if that's something that you see. But I'd also like to mention that your LifeStream Healing, which people can find you through Instagram, and I'd love for you to give your number out as well, because I think for somebody who's looking to try to heal a health challenge that may have been perplexing them or something, it really does help when you have somebody like yourself that's intuitive and can go in and see what sort of needs untangled. That's the only way I can describe it, because it's sometimes there are things that just baffle modern medicine, and when you look at it from an energetic basis, it makes a huge difference because you're able to see things. And I think, in my opinion, that's why LifeStream Healing came through to you and you were shown this path. But yeah, I'd love for you to just maybe share with the audience a little bit about what a session looks like, or how how to get in touch with you, and how long a session is, and basically what they could expect.
Okay. Well, on the outset, usually an hour is the standard time that I would need to dwell into person's chakras and things. There are different colors sporting with the chakras, and some of them are very subtle. And what can appear to be a color is not exactly not. So we really only know 2 major true colors of the 3 chakras right now, out of the 5 energies in a human being. And one would be the indigo or blue of the love energy. That would be second ray. And the other would be fourth, would be the energy of the planet or material itself through healing, and green. So one would be indigo and the other would be green. And frankly, you bring those 2 together and you'll end up produce orange of a different hue. But there are hues. All these colors are powerful. Orange is very powerful for different times. Actually, during the process of healing, and actually at the very end of life, there's a peculiar type of hue, orange, that should be used around a person's, I guess you hate to say the word, deathbed. to use this word as it's a method for them to escape from their body.
Wow.
Using a peculiar type of color of orange. And that'll only come at the end of life generally, and requires extreme consciousness, because even if the person is lying on the bed and they seem to be out of it or not, they're actually aware. But there's so much energy is taken away from the physical body that they really can't respond, but they are aware of what's going on around them. That's why being quiet and, et cetera. But with people, as we begin to do a session for somebody, I'll medically attune to them in different parts of their body, and they can tell me what they want or what I can see, and then we can begin doing a type of alignment process that will bring about the higher energies, in head energies, from me and from them together to heal together using
That's
soul
amazing.
energy. Yeah, and then you do that. You run down from your head start through the heart, in the head, and then in the heart in your body. And when you can align that energy between the head and the heart, then you can take that energy and project it anywhere you want using your third eye or Ajta center.
And that's what we spoke about last week, was the connection with the pineal gland and the intuition and the light that comes in through that third eye chakra. And that's
right.
really where our intuition is, that we can strengthen. Is there other things that it's known for as well?
For
like as far as like spiritual wisdom, do you feel that that's sort of where information comes in, or do you feel it comes in more through the crown chakra that's at the top of the head?
That's a good question. Kind of both, but frankly, I think at the end of the day, the source energy coming through the head chakra finds its way into the system, the human system of chakras. Now, there are some parts where that energy doesn't flew from us, like from through the spleen. That's strictly prana energy from the manifested plane. It has nothing to do with our source energy through our head. This is the actual energy of life in the universe itself. We use the spleen to tie it with that energy.
Wow. That's amazing. It is. I'm so fascinated to hear you talk, because when you were speaking, it kind of, I don't know what popped into my head, but I was thinking about all of the other energy centers that we have in the body that nobody speaks about. And I thought, really, when it comes in like that, you could really light up like a Christmas tree, right? Am I correct in my assumption?
No, they are. They're more. And when you have two people working together, equals more than 1 + 1, right?
Right.
That's this whole dynamic of group dynamics. Up until this part in humanity, there's independent people trying to work together, right? But it's not a true goal group then. Now it is, though. And so as these people, and you've needed it yourself around the world itself, as in meditation grows and grows and grows, the power is growing exponentially here on the planet. And so if you take two people, try to use together to help someone, the power there is between more than 1 + 1, right? And the more the better, really, up to a point. And so that's what the power that's coming to the humanity as a whole. That's the kind of power that's coming into the world right now. It's already here per se, but it's not all the way fully anchored. It's fully not recognized yet. But more and more and more that's happened, and when that happens, there's going to be changes in the planet taken across the planet, not on just humanity, but on plants, on minerals, everything of the world is going to be changed. And that's going to be fundamental because humanity and group consciousness of the planet itself is also a soul, and it has that soul energy now coming through us. And so every part of the world is really like minerals when they were, they're more group conscious now than they ever have. That's what we had. That's why radioactivity was really rediscovered in part of time and people now. And so this is like a group consciousness. A plant, a mineral that's at the highest level has reached group consciousness. And then it begins to radiate, in such as uranium and other things. Fluoresces, there are many minerals that you don't notice it, but certain light shines on it, and then it fluoresces, right? Mm-hmm. That's a radiation, and that's a higher level of evolution of that particular mineral per se, and the mineral world in soil, all of the soil. So, everything together right now is coming together now to bring major birthing upon this planet.
Can I ask you, because yeah, sure. Well, I know as you're speaking, because I've wondered this for a while. I had studied with Dr. Eric Pearl many years ago, who was reconnective healing, and he spoke about strands of our DNA that he would be activated. And is that part of what you see? Are there dormant strands, or is there part of our brain that's actually activating right now that's been sort of dormant, that's kind of kept us from truly living who we were meant to be?
I do agree. I don't see, quote, a strand of DNA. However, what I do think is that as you meditate, that causes a physiological change in your actual physical brain cells.
Okay.
And so that is essentially, you are activating parts of your brain or energy reception that has been there but have been dormant, not used. And as you pray more and more through meditation, singly and in groups, then you're reactivating. If you want to call it DNA, fine. I don't necessarily call that, but a lot of people call that out. But it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Part of your life is you're no longer dormant like you once were. And that changes everything, right? Good and bad. You can take an evil human being, if you so to speak, and you can activate the dormant parts of themselves with meditation and other things. And you can actually bring maybe a hard or a evil part of their personality for a short time, right? In other words, you're going to grow as many weeds as you are flowers. But eventually, it's going to harmonize. And if not this life, then the next one. And then and people are going to be more and more in tune with each other, to the point where that we speak even now in the modes that we use for speaking. I'd say 500 to 700 years from now, the need for speaking will be less and less and less. And our patient will go through mental telepathy.
That may not be a bad thing, because
it's already here.
It would basically eliminate the need for anything. There was a movie years ago, and I can't remember the actor, but it was The Invention of Lying. And the idea was that there was really only truth, and that, to the point where I believe, Jennifer Gardner was the lead actress. She said to the basically like you have a pug nose and you wouldn't be good genetic material for offspring. I think is how she worded it. But and then he figured out I apologize, I can't remember his name, but figured out a way to sort of bend the truth a little bit. And then once he did that, it was like he came out with these tablets, sort of like the 10 Commandments or what he was doing. But it shifted, and I don't know, it's just sort of a silly movie. But I think if we were in a space where it was more intuitive based, there would be no need to put up walls or illusions about ourselves, that we could just really step into a place of pure harmony and magic. And I think we had Frankie Love on a few episodes ago, and she talked about the 432 frequency and the music that we listen to, and that when we step into that resonant frequency, it literally harmonizes us, because the body is sort of like a musical instrument. And I think when you speak about the energy centers, the chakras, I mean, that's how they all have sort of a tune and a vibration to them. And that when we are perfectly tuned, that's how we elevate, that's how we bring things in. But there's also that, if we're in tune, and it's sort of like a tuning fork, those tuning forks around will start to elevate those around us, whether we are doing it consciously or not. And so I think that's what's so important about this time. And even working with somebody like you to be able to help clear those centers so that we can hold space, or that's always my terminology, to allow to elicit change for a better future for us all. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about that topic, and resonance and harmonizing the body, sort of like a musical instrument.
Yeah, I mean, there's the universe itself has its own chord, complicated beyond, and plays out through eons upon eons upon eons. But eventually, the universe itself will become complete 100% harmonized. Wow. And then in the universe, that as we know it, will wink out. It will have reached its perfection, and the next thing that will happen. But for humans are exactly the same thing. And we basically, humans right now, go through 7 major evolutions, if you will. We're at the 5th one. And so we're farming, and so each group or each time frame, a certain chord is struck, and human learns that code and begins to harmonize it. This here too is the same, and the closer you get close to that harmony chord, the more perfect you become in this time frame. So more and more and more. When people are talking about the different frequencies, that just becomes, as you become more tuned to that larger picture whole, the entity that is the planet, become and harmonize with that we become more and more at one with everyone. And so that's what's happened with it.
When you speak about that, you should see the shimmer. You should on video, because you can see the shimmers on my arm. I think every hair on my hands, on my arms and my legs is like standing at attention, Scott, when you're speaking about that. It's phenomenal. It really is. It's really phenomenal. And is that sort of that frequency, that is it sort of what they consider like living in love? Is it bliss? Is it, as you said, heaven on earth, I guess?
Yeah, the Schumann resonance, the level that is can be measured, as well as there's a frequency of various spots, because the earth, the sun, is our everything to this solar system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when there's any kind of trouble on the Earth, we feel it here from Earth, larger or smaller. Sometimes quite, great. I mean, to the point where it actually takes out parts of the electrical grid. Well, if you're working at somebody really strong, and I think you were with me when we were that time in Ohio, when we were working, and we were all 15 or 20, we were all together, and I was working when we were all together. When we became, just for a moment, when we became in sync, the lights began flashing at that building that we were in.
I do remember that.
Because we were affecting the electrical grid. And after that happened, that person that we were working on was cured. Now, I'm not 100% why. That was 25 years ago or whenever it was. But I know that that's what happened, and I knew it. I saw it. I knew they were gone. And I didn't know the person, and then they told me later that they sent me two pictures of a X-ray. One was a tumor of a breast, and then after we worked on them, and they came back to their town and had a doctor's appointment, a chance to get this tumor removed, it was gone. It was completely gone, and I saw both out X-rays. So why that happened, I don't know, but it's a miracle. You could call it that, but it's not. It's science. It's what it is. It's science.
Right, and I think that's exactly what you're speaking about. It's that interconnectedness. It's when we interact, coming from a heart-centeredness, and that we sort of we drop into the heart, we immerse ourselves in that love, seeing us as one. I mean, I think we were all focused with open heart to be open to whatever was meant to unfold for this individual. And that when we do that, we love each other. I think we just move deeper into a state where we truly are woven together and our souls resonate harmoniously. And that's what you're speaking about. It's like we're getting to that state where the universe, we're connecting back to who we really truly are, which, it's just an amazing time to be here on this planet. Even though there's lots of challenges, we all signed up for this time. And we all said, okay, you know what, we're here. We're going to see this through. And as you said, it's a shift into a higher ray that is going to only bring amazing things. And I think you said it's a 2,000-year cycle? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I won't be here to see the end.
Well, you may next time around, but the world is going to change drastically. New ideas, ways of thinking, the speed of mentality of so much great. The actual plants, rocks, land, the planet itself will actually change. Will be birthed. And I think this is it's a troubling time for Earth, that's for sure. But I think it's fantastic. I couldn't be in a better place in my mind being part of this right now because it's so important. Mm-hmm. And so we've all chosen this part, as you have said, to be part of this, and I think it's just fantastic. And so I'm happy about it. But
the one woman said it's sort of like we're pioneers. I like that word. We're sort of pioneers. We're not in a stagecoach going across to see what land lies ahead or on a ship, but we are certainly pioneering something that's yet to be discovered. And so would you share your contact information with the audience if anybody wants to get in touch with you, and especially because not just the solstice, but because we're beginning a new year, it's just a wonderful, opportune time. I'm sure your schedule's pretty busy, but I know you would make time for the people that reach out to you. So, if you would share that.
At Instagram, LifeStream Healing, Scott Robinson. My email, LifeStreamHealing@gmail.com. My phone number 770-596-9656, and on Facebook as well. You can touch me on any of those media, or call me directly, and we can set up time from anybody who would like to talk to me.
Yeah, would you repeat the phone number just in case somebody didn't catch all the numbers?
Yeah, it's 770-596-9656.
That's wonderful. I know it makes such a big difference. And I know I asked you this question before, but I really am excited. I always welcome the winter solstice. This is so terrible. I wish my life away, because I love it when the days start to get longer, and I know that it's a big opening. And are there any suggestions you would have that you're seeing energetically that would be really helpful for our audience and for me as well? I'd love to know what your thoughts are, how to really utilize the energies of this time.
Gosh, I don't know. That's a big question too, as you said. I just go into meditation, different places, and it just, my intuition just kind of guides me here and there. If I'm asking what I'm doing, I'm just honestly trying to be. I know it sounds silly or even, pretty simple, but you just try to be the best person you can be, and you're not going to be. You're going to fail at that, constantly. But you're gonna make headfeds too, and you're gonna clear out, and you're going to make the purity of your energetic body more correct and more pure. And when you do that, you're just create a higher and higher vibe amongst yourself and everybody around you. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this. It takes time. The more and more people are. But I'm kind of precious with it, because I believe everybody gets this, and then I talk to people all the time, and they don't have the slightest idea of and that's just where they're at. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think I grew up in Western Canada and was always connected to the first people, and I really love, there's a Hopi saying that all dreams spin from the same web. And Chief Seattle, who I think they had on some of the television commercials, would say, man did not weave the web of life, he's merely a strand in it. And I really think that when we see ourselves interconnected like that, and we interact with others not just as separate beings, and see ourselves that, we truly are one, whatever you're saying, God, universe, wholeness, whatever it is, that we truly are one. And that when we immerse ourselves in love and share that and shine that inner light from our heart, it makes a difference to not only ourselves but to the world at large. And that's what I think that's what my solstice meditation is going to focus on.
Good.
Really.
You can't go wrong with that, right? Anything really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it is. I just try to figure it out. And, we're coming to the end of our hour, so I want to give you the opportunity to leave our audience with something else that you feel might be of importance. Just anything, any words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
Well, let's see. We talked about the meditation. I think everything is, people are coming more and more together with groups. And the more that we can become group conscious, the higher that we shall evolve more quickly. And so that's what I'm just saying, is going in that direction. And as long as you're going that way, you're on the right path. If not, then maybe taking a different pathway, but you'll get there. We all get there. So we have to just continue going on and on about that and realizing that there's a lot of, there's just an ugliness in the world that there still is, that we're working on, all of us. And the more and more we work at it, the better it will be.
That's so true. That's so true, and I think that each one of us, as here we are in the holiday season, really make a point to be conscious of those around you. I know a lot of us are in a hurry, but if you can sort of unplug yourself and maybe have a little bit of self-awareness and observe your thoughts and really connect into that heart and do see that we are truly one, and that love is one of the greatest, most powerful things in the universe. So thank you so much, Scott, for joining me here on Connect to Love on PRN FM. And I want to thank Jesse at the station. He does such a wonderful job and is so appreciated for all the magic he creates in making this possible. And thank you to each one of our listeners. May you stay happy, healthy, safe, and abundantly blessed. And looking forward to our next encounter. Thank you so much.
Good night.